Happy Pie Day! We're here to share our love of pie,
both numerical
and culinary. Anne-Marie, what is your favorite thing about Pie Day?
Well, if I'm honest, it's the fact that people are nerdy enough to celebrate a day based on a numerical constant. You?
Yeah, no, it's really just about the pie. Okay, so let's get back to basics. What is a circle?
Wow, I don't think I've had to actually define a circle for quite some time, but it's a shape where all of the points are equally distant from a center point.
Really glad you got that right.
Thank you. Which is all well and good, but what does that have to do with us getting the chance to celebrate delicious pie today?
Glad you asked. Okay, so pi, P-I, the Greek one, not the pastry one, is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, the diameter being twice the radius. That's that uniform distance that you just mentioned. Now that ratio is 3.14159, too many decimals to list, so it's usually shorthanded to 3.14.
314 or March the 14th, Pie Day. And because ratios are all about proportions and not absolute amounts, that ratio works for all circles, regardless of whether they're the size of a pinhead or a monster truck tire or a pie pan.
It's also why it appears in the two equations for circles that you need to know for test day. The circumference,
2 pi r or pi d,
and the area,
pi r squared.
Or, as we like to remember,
cherry pie is delicious.
Apple pies are too. Wow, this is making me want some actual pie.
Well, you are in luck because here we have
oh my
a
gosh,
replica of the pie from the Pie-a-thon problem on page 295 in the SAT Prep Plus book.
I am so excited. I can't believe I'm seeing John's leftovers in action. I totally love this problem. Okay, so page 295. Question number 13. So after the local pie-a-thon, John brought home several different kinds of pie in a single 10-inch diameter pie tin. And the portion of each type of pie takes up in the tin is shown above, or
right here.
Okay, so what is the area in square inches of the portion of leftover pie that's not strawberry rhubarb? So we got strawberry rhubarb, we got apple, pumpkin, blackberry, blueberry. All right, so what is the area in square inches of the portion of leftover pie that is not strawberry rhubarb?
So there's two ways we can go about this. In order to find the area that is not strawberry rhubarb, we can either find the total area and subtract the area of the strawberry rhubarb sector, or we can find the degree measure of the sector that is not strawberry rhubarb and use a proportion to solve for our answer.
All right, so just like pi is a ratio between two aspects of a circle, the central angle of a sector as a fraction of 360 is proportional to both that sector's area and arc lengths as fractions of the total area and circumference, respectively.
That sounds kind of complicated, but fortunately, you only need to use one part of this proportion at a time. So it's really very similar to the proportions that you use at school already that you know and love. Which means it's just a matter of
cross multiplication! All right, so let's use this formula. The first thing is to figure out what the angle measurement is of all these flavors that aren't strawberry rhubarb. Now, I'm not gonna add up the apple and the pumpkin and the blueberry, what's the other thing we have here, the blackberry. Instead, I'm gonna subtract 129.6, that's our strawberry rhubarb angle, from 360 to give us a central angle for the non-strawberry rhubarb part as 230.4 degrees.
Good thing we can use our calculator for this problem. The next value we need to find is the area of the whole pie, because we need to find a fraction of that. So in order to find the area of our pie, what's our formula again?
Apple pies are too!
So area equals pi r squared, we now need our radius.
Well, we're given the diameter as 10 inches. Be careful. Divide the diameter by 2 to give a radius of 5.
Sweet! Literally plug that into our area formula and we get 5 squared times pi, which is 25 pi.
And since all our answer choices are already in terms of pi, we don't need to multiply this by 3.14, which is kind of ironic since that's the whole reason we're here today.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, good.
So now we need to cross multiply, but I usually like to reduce fractions before I do that to make my life easier. On the one hand, we have a very specific number in 230.4, which seems like it would be hard to reduce. But on the other hand, none of our answers look like they're getting that specific, so I don't think that 0.4 is really going to matter all that much.
I don't think it is
So
either.
let's call it an even 230. 230 over 360 or 23 over 36. I love rounding.
Rounding for the win. Save yourself that time on test day. Okay, so 23 divided by 36, and here's where we set up that proportion, equals x over 25 pi. So 25 pi times 23 over 36 is 16 pi, or answer choice B.
Awesome. P.S. Check out answer choices C and D. Even if you don't know how to set up this proportion correctly, you can tell that these are wrong because they're larger than the area of the whole pie that we just found.
Well, that is assuming you didn't forget to use the radius and not the diameter when calculating the area.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. All right, so we just finished an SAT circle question. And Emery, do circles look that much different on the ACT?
Not so much. So you'll use these exact same formulas no matter where you see circles.
Okay, so circles are circles. Then let's head to the ACT Prep Plus book. I believe page 384 has a question very similar. Question number 16.
Thank you. I would not want to mess up John's pie.
Please don't. This is like a masterpiece.
It would be a tragedy. All right. Circle O, not shown, but we are going to use John's pie as our visual aid.
I like it. When in doubt, draw it out or slice it out.
Sure. Has a radius of 5, like John's pie, and measure of angle AOB equals 45 degrees, which is pretty similar to the angle of our blackberry pie from before, which was like 43.2 or something like that, so pretty close. We can pretend we're looking at our blackberry pie. What is the length of arc AB?
Okay, so even though this question is much less fun because it doesn't involve actual pi, it still involves mathematical pi and has the same radius as before, 5. So we'll solve it using the same way, using John's pie.
Awesome. So we're solving for the edge of our blackberry pie, the crust, since we're looking for arc length. We'll just pretend that I'm taking the pie crust off because that's the least delicious part of the pie, so I'm going to get rid of it first.
Okay. All right, so got it. Now, we know from earlier that this pie has that area of 25 pi.
Which unfortunately doesn't help us that much since we need the circumference in order to deal with arc length rather than the whole area.
So it's a good thing I know that cherry pie is delicious.
There you go. And the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius, so the circumference is 2 times 5 times pi, which equals 10 pi.
Perfect. So let's use that proportion formula once again.
Excellent. So we've got 45 degrees over 360 is equal to x, the thing that we're trying to find, our arc length, over 10 pi. And since, again, I love reducing fractions, I'm going to reduce that 45 over 360 to 1/8 because that makes my life better.
You could even say it simplifies your life.
I could say that, and I would, because I love puns too.
Okay, so 1/8 times 10 pi, cross multiply, and our answer choices are already in fraction form. So I think we're almost done. Now, I know how much you like reducing fractions, so do you want to do the honors?
I would love to.
You would.
So 10 pi over 8 reduces or simplifies to 5 pi over 4.
Or answer choice H.
Fantastic. So as you can see, the kinds of circle problems that you run into on the SAT or ACT are often similar, whether as a word problem or as a straightforward plain geometry problem like this one.
So whether you're studying for the SAT or the ACT math test, you'll want to be comfortable with the area and circumference formulas for circles, as well as be able to use a proportion to solve for arc length or sector.
Now, we've gotten to enjoy the numerical aspects of Pi Day. I think it's time to enjoy the actual pie part as a reward.
I like what you're thinking. So, Hamry, what is your favorite type of pie to eat on Pi Day?
That's a difficult question. There's so many good ones to choose from. What about you?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of lemon meringue without the meringue because it's so irrational.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
All right, happy Pie Day!